Hi everybody, it's Alex Ela here. I just wanted to thank you all so much for the support. The atmosphere these past few days have been completely amazing.
First time I met Rafa, I was on the way to his academy. Oh my gosh, I was on the way to his academy because I was gonna try it out. We ran into him in the airport.
You only turned 20, so obviously you have a long way to go. But if by some chance the 12-year-old version of you could realize what was about to happen the next 8 years.
Rejected $10 million? Alex Ela shocked Saudi billionaire with emotional response that left his daughter in tears. Welcome back to Court Vision Plus, the only place where the baseline meets the headlines and the drama is always served hot. If you think you know the value of a tennis racket, think again. We are talking about a story today that has absolutely set the internet on fire, a story that blurs the lines between sports, insane wealth, and pure, unfiltered emotion. We are talking about the golden girl of the Philippines, Alex Ela, a Saudi oil tycoon with pockets deeper than the Marianas Trench, and a $10 million offer that was shot down in the most heartbreakingly beautiful way possible. Grab your popcorn and sit down, because what happened after the final point of Ela's latest match wasn't just a sports moment, it was a life lesson that money simply cannot buy. We are going to break down the match, the billionaire, the outrageous offer, and the response from Alex Ela that reportedly had the billionaire's daughter sobbing on the floor. Was it arrogance? Was it humility? Let's dive deep into the saga of the $10 million racket. To understand the weight of this moment, we have to set the scene. The atmosphere was electric. We are talking about a grueling match, the kind where every grunt echoes like a cannon shot and the humidity hangs heavy in the air. Alex Ela, the pride of the Philippines, had just fought tooth and nail for victory. She wasn't just playing for a trophy, she was playing with that signature fire that has made her a global sensation. When that final ball sailed past her opponent and clipped the line, the stadium erupted. It was pandemonium. Eala dropped to her knees, the exhaustion and the ecstasy washing over her. She held that racket, her weapon of choice, the extension of her arm that had just delivered a masterclass in grit, tightly to her chest. But as the cheers began to settle and the post-match ceremonies commenced, the energy in the arena shifted. It wasn't the commentators or the officials who grabbed the mic. It was a voice from the VIP box, a voice that commands attention in boardrooms across the globe. Enter Sheikh Khalid Al Rashid. Now, for those of you who don't follow the Forbes lists religiously, Sheikh Khalid is not just rich, he is oil billionaire rich. We are talking about a man with an estimated fortune north of $50 billion. He's the kind of guy who buys superyachts the way we buy coffee. But beneath the luxury suits and the entourage, the sheik is known for one thing above all else, his devotion to his daughter, Aisha. Aisha Al Rashid is a die-hard tennis fan. She doesn't just watch the game, she breathes it. And her idol? Not Serena, not IGA, but the young phenomenon, Alex Ela. Aisha sees herself in Ela's fighting spirit. So, watching her idol win from the luxury box was already a dream come true. But her father wanted to give her more than just a memory. He wanted to give her a piece of history. In a move that stunned the broadcasters and silenced the crowd, Sheikh Khalid Al Rashid stepped forward. He didn't whisper this offer, he announced it to the world. He looked down from his suite, microphone in hand, and dropped a bombshell that made jaws hit the floor. He said, quote, "I am a father, and I will do anything to make my daughter happy. Alexandra Ela, you are the inspiration for my daughter Aisha. I would like to offer $10 million to purchase the racket you used to win today's match. It is not just an item, but a symbol of passion. Please contact me." Let that sink in for a second. $10 million for a tennis racket. To put that in perspective, the prize money for winning some of the biggest tournaments in the world doesn't even come close to that figure. Most players grind on the tour for a decade and don't see that kind of cash. With $10 million, you could buy a private island. You could buy a fleet of Ferraris. You could fund an entire tennis academy for years. It was an offer that was obscene, extravagant, and entirely serious. The sheik wasn't joking. He had the checkbook ready. He saw the sweat on that grip, the scuff marks on the frame, and he didn't see used equipment. He saw the holy grail for his daughter. The stadium went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. All eyes turned to the young Filipina star standing on the clay. What do you do in that situation? Do you jump for joy? Do you faint? Do you immediately hand it over and ask for a wire transfer? The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. The media frenzy began instantly. Twitter, or X, exploded. People were tweeting, "Take the money, Alex," and "Is this real life?" The cameras zoomed in on Eala's face, looking for a reaction. Was she calculating the exchange rate? Was she thinking about how many houses she could buy for her family? But Alex Ela is cut from a different cloth. She isn't just an athlete, she is a class act. She stood there, wiping the sweat from her brow, looking up at the VIP box where the sheik stood with a hopeful smile and where young Aisha was watching with wide, anticipating eyes. 5 seconds. That's all it took. 5 seconds of silence that felt like 5 hours. And then, she reached for the microphone. She didn't stutter. She didn't hesitate. She looked directly at the billionaire, and then shifted her gaze to the young girl beside him. Eala's response wasn't about negotiation. It wasn't a counteroffer. It was a monologue that stripped away the value of the dollar and replaced it with the value of the human spirit. According to witnesses and the transcripts that are now flooding the internet, Eala smiled, a genuine, humble smile, and said something that no one expected. She said, "Sir, your offer is the greatest compliment I could receive, and your love for your daughter is beautiful. But this racket? It's just graphite and string. The magic isn't in the racket, Sheikh Khalid. The magic is in the hand that holds it and the heart that drives it. If Aisha is inspired by me, she doesn't need my racket to find her strength. She has her own." The crowd gasped. Was she turning it down? Was she walking away from a fortune? But she wasn't done. She walked toward the stands, closer to the box. "I cannot accept $10 million for this," Eala continued, her voice steady. "Because passion cannot be bought. Inspiration is not for sale. But, if Aisha promises me that she will play with joy, that she will fight for her dreams just like I do, then she can have this racket. Not for $10 million. But for free. As a gift from one dreamer to another." That was the moment. That was the knockout punch. The camera panned to Aisha al-Rashid. The young girl, surrounded by billions of dollars of wealth, who could have anything in the world she wanted with a swipe of a card, burst into tears. She buried her face in her hands, completely overwhelmed. It wasn't the object that moved her, it was the validation. Her idol hadn't just sold her a souvenir, she had acknowledged her as a peer, as a fellow dreamer. Eala had rejected the transaction and created a connection. Sheikh Khalid, the man who thought money could solve any problem, stood there, stunned. For the first time in a long time, his money was useless, and yet, he had received something far more valuable. He looked at his crying daughter, then back at Eala, and reportedly bowed his head in genuine respect. The transaction that never happened became the most valuable exchange of the entire tournament. Eala walked over to the side of the court, signed the racket, scribbling a personal message to Aisha on the grip, and handed it up to security to pass to the weeping girl. The crowd erupted again, but this time, it wasn't for a match point. It was for a humanity point. Now, let's unpack why this is blowing up so massively. In a world where sports is dominated by nil deals, massive contracts, and athletes chasing the biggest paycheck, which, hey, they deserve, this moment stands out as a beacon of pure integrity. It's a tabloid story because of the money, but it's a legendary story because of the refusal. Social media is having a field day with this. The hashtag Eala10million is trending worldwide. Fans are calling Eala the Queen of Hearts and the People's Champion. But there's an even more interesting layer to this story that is just starting to surface in the rumor mill. Sources close to the sheik suggest that he was so moved by Eala's refusal of the money that he is planning something even bigger. You didn't think a man worth $50 billion would just take a free racket and walk away, did you? Rumors are swirling that Sheikh Khalid is currently in talks to establish a massive tennis foundation in the Philippines, fully funded by his conglomerate, named in honor of Alex Ela. We are hearing whispers of a Khalid Ela youth initiative aimed at finding the next generation of tennis stars in Southeast Asia. While Eala turned down the cash for herself, it looks like her integrity might just unlock hundreds of millions of dollars for her countrymen. That is the definition of karma. That is the definition of impact. She turned down a payday and might have secured a legacy. And let's talk about Aisha. This girl is now the owner of the most famous tennis racket in the world. Collectors are already estimating that if that racket ever hit the auction block now, with this story attached to it, it could actually fetch that $10 million price tag. But something tells me that racket is never leaving Aisha's room. It's not a piece of memorabilia anymore, it's a torch that was passed. This story also highlights the growing influence of tennis in the Middle East. We know Saudi Arabia has been investing heavily in sports, golf, football, and now tennis. The Six Kings Slam and the WTA Finals in Riyadh are proof of that. But this personal interaction between a Filipino star and a Saudi tycoon adds a human element to the business of sport. It shows that despite the geopolitical conversations and the sports washing debates, the connection between athlete and fan remains pure. The footage of Aisha crying is the clip that will be played over and over again. It reminds us of why we watch sports in the first place. We don't watch for the prize money checks, we watch for the moments that make us feel something. We watch for the inspiration. Alex Ela proved that she understands her role as a role model better than athletes twice her age. There are also reports coming in, and keep in mind, these are unverified tabloid buzz, that the Sheikh has offered to fly Eala and her entire team on his private Boeing 747 for her next tournament swing, ensuring she travels in the kind of luxury usually reserved for heads of state. Whether she accepts that offer remains to be seen, but it's clear that Eala has made a powerful friend in high places, simply by being herself. It's a stark contrast to other stories we hear. We hear about divas, we hear about greed. But today, Court Vision Plus is celebrating character. Alex Ela, a young woman from the Philippines, stood toe-to-toe with $50 billion and didn't blink. She showed that while money can buy a racket, it can't buy the vision. Now, here's where the story gets even more fascinating. Let's dig deeper into who Alex Ela really is, because this moment of integrity didn't come out of nowhere. This is a young woman who has been defying expectations and breaking barriers since she was barely tall enough to see over the net. Alex Ela isn't just some overnight sensation who got lucky with a viral moment. She's a warrior who has been grinding on the international tennis circuit, representing the Philippines on the biggest stages in the world, often as the underdog, always with that trademark smile and relentless determination. Born in May 2005, Alexandra Maniego Eala grew up in a family that understood the value of hard work and dedication. Her father, Mike Eala, is a respected tennis coach and former player himself, which means tennis wasn't just a hobby in the Eala household, it was a language, a lifestyle, a legacy. From the moment Alex could hold a racket, she was learning not just how to hit a ball, but how to compete, how to handle pressure, how to represent something bigger than herself. But what really sets Eala apart is the path she chose. At just 14 years old, she made the bold decision to train at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. Think about that for a second. A 14-year-old girl, leaving her family, her country, her comfort zone, to chase a dream on the other side of the world. That's not the decision of someone looking for shortcuts or easy money. That's the decision of someone who understands that greatness requires sacrifice. The tennis world needs more athletes like Eala. Not just because of her talent on the court, though that's considerable, but because of what she represents off it. She's a reminder that sports is about more than winning and losing, more than rankings and prize money. It's about the values we uphold, the connections we make, the lives we touch, the examples we set. Eala gets that in a way that seems intuitive, natural, unforced. There's also something to be said about the timing of this story. We're living in challenging times globally. Economic inequality is widening. Political divisions are deepening. Social media has created echo chambers where we rarely encounter perspectives different from our own. In the midst of all this, a story about a young athlete choosing connection over cash, about a billionaire being humbled by integrity, about a young fan being moved to tears by generosity, feels like exactly what we need. It's a story that cuts through the noise and reminds us of our shared humanity. The fact that it involves people from such different worlds, a Filipina tennis star and a Saudi billionaire, makes it even more powerful. In a time when we're often told to focus on what divides us, this story highlights what unites us, the universal language of respect, generosity, and authentic human connection. It shows that meaningful moments can happen anywhere, between anyone, when we approach each other with openness and good faith. So, what happens next? Will we see Alex Ela and Ayesha Al-Rashid develop an ongoing relationship? Will they train together? Will we see Ayesha in the stands at Eala's future matches, holding that famous racket? Will the foundation materialize, and if so, how will it transform tennis in the Philippines? Will other billionaires step forward with similar offers, and if so, how will Eala respond? The story is still being written, and that's part of what makes it so exciting. What we do know is that Alex Ela has already won something far more valuable than any tournament trophy or prize money check. She's won the respect and admiration of millions of people around the world. She's won a place in sports history not for a championship, but for a choice. She's won the knowledge that when tested, when faced with a decision that would have tempted almost anyone, she stayed true to herself and her values. That's a victory that will last long after the trophies have gathered dust and the prize money has been spent. This is the kind of story that gets retold for generations. Parents will tell their children about the tennis player who said no to $10 million. Teachers will use it as an example in classrooms. Coaches will reference it when teaching young athletes about character. It's become more than a moment. It's become a parable, a modern-day legend about integrity in the face of temptation. And at the center of it all is a young woman from the Philippines who simply did what felt right, who listened to her heart, who understood that some things are more important than money. Alex Ela didn't set out to create a viral moment or teach the world a lesson. She just stayed true to herself, and in doing so, she gave us all something to believe in. So here we are, Court Vision Plus family, at the end of this incredible deep dive into one of the most inspiring stories in recent sports history. We've explored every angle, from Eala's background and journey, to the Sheik's generosity and his daughter's emotional response, to the cultural significance and global implications of this moment. We've talked about integrity, legacy, values, and what it means to be a true champion both on and off the court. Now it's your turn. We want to hear from you. Be honest in the comments section below. If a billionaire offered you $10 million for your tennis racket, or your shoes, or your phone, are you taking the money? Or are you pulling an Alex Ela? I know what I'd do, but I want to know what you would do. And do you think the Sheik should still try to give her the money in the form of a donation, or was the free gift the perfect ending? Let's get a debate going in the comments. And here's another question for you. Do you think this moment will change how athletes think about their relationship with fans and money? Do you think we'll see more gestures like this, or was this a one-of-a-kind moment that we'll never see again? Drop your thoughts below because we love hearing from you. This has been Court Vision Plus, bringing you the heart, the heat, and the headlines of the tennis world. If you loved this story of integrity and insane wealth, make sure you smash that like button. It's free, unlike the Sheik's offer. Hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a beat of the action. We have more exclusive updates coming on this story as soon as we get word on the Sheik's next move, and trust me, you're going to want to be here when that news breaks. Share this video with anyone who needs a reminder that character still matters, that integrity still exists, that there are still people in this world who will choose doing the right thing over doing the profitable thing. Spread the word about Alex Ela and her incredible moment of grace under pressure. Until next time, keep your eyes on the ball, your heart in the game, and remember that the real victory isn't always measured in trophies or dollar signs. Sometimes, the real victory is knowing you stayed true to yourself when it mattered most. Peace.
You mentioned the fans there. How much during the game, obviously you're so locked in and focused in the game, how much do you notice outside of the games with the fans cheering you on? Do you really take notice to it, and does it help you through them tough points?